Today down in the comments, I want to hear about Halloween. I want to hear about how your Halloween is going. I know some people try to do the 31 days of Halloween where you watch a horror movie every day, and I think I've kind of done that this year. I think I've finally done it. There might have been a day or two where I missed something, but I definitely doubled and maybe even tripled up on some other days. We're going to talk about me a little later though, but for right now, I want to hear how you're doing and how your Halloween's doing. Hello, I'm Adam Caesar, and this is Project Black T-Shirt, the channel where we talk about horror movies and then pair them with horror books that you might enjoy if you like those movies. I am the author of Clown in a Cornfield. Speaking of Halloween, there's probably nothing that can get you in the mood better than a Midwestern teen slasher, right? So this is available right now in hardcover. Paperback's coming out in December. I'm going to ask you to pre-order that. If you haven't already, and if you're interested in the paperback, a lot of people ask me, like, I guess you don't like heavy books. When is it coming out in paperback? December, and the pre-orders are already up, so go get that audiobook. And I have a bunch of other novels, novellas, short stories, and stuff for you to check out, even a couple comic books. More of those coming soon. I'll put all the links down in the description. Amazon, bookshop.org, Barnes & Noble, all the usual suspects. I have not uploaded the video in a little bit of a while, and it's mostly because I am insanely busy. But my duty to you, the valued subscriber, is to watch horror movies and talk about horror movies. So today we are doing a little bit of a Halloween special. We're cutting it really close to the actual day itself, but I'm going to talk about more than 10. I don't know the exact number. It's probably like 10 or 12 or 13 or something like that. I'm going to talk about more than 10 of the best movies that I watched this October. The only parameter was I had to have watched them in October to talk about them. Some of them are theatrical releases. Some of them I watched on Blu-ray discs. They're not. Some of them are new. Some of them are old Blu-ray discs. And then some I watched streaming, and I watched in a very specific way, and I'll talk about that when I talk about those. So it's probably going to be a longer video than usual, and then we'll end with a brand new reading recommendation. Book actually just came out today. It's a really good one, so make sure you stick around to the end. But we don't have much time. We got to get right into it because I've got a ton of movies to talk about. So let's start with the theatrical movies. 2 weeks ago now, I guess, the world is starting to kind of get back to normal. The world is starting to get more regular again, and I got emails from the local PR firm here in Philly that handles all the movie press screenings and stuff like that. And they were like, okay, press screenings are back on again. They're happening. There's going to be this many people in attendance, X, Y, and Z, and all kind of COVID safety stuff. But did a kind of double feature back-to-back. I did Last Night in Soho and Antlers. I think both of which are opening up this Friday, so you can kind of go see those. I really want to single out Last Night in Soho. I thought it was fantastic. This is Edgar Wright, the director of Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and The World's End and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and Baby Driver. So he kind of started his career with horror, or at least something horror adjacent, but he's taken a little bit of a genre vacation, and now he's back with a movie that is marketed as kind of a pure horror film. It's a quasi time travel movie with a strong murder element and a strong mystery element that I think it was funny that we had this whole debate in on Twitter and in the horror community over was Malignant a giallo? Was it blah blah blah? And I didn't really quite think it was. I enjoyed it well enough. I don't really think there's just putting gels on lights and kind of having a character wear black gloves doesn't necessarily make something a giallo. But the funny thing about Last Night in Soho is it's not so much being marketed that way and not so much being talked about that way, but I think it works better as that thing. But it's touching on a whole bunch of different hallmarks. It's kind of in love with the 60s, and that's almost becomes part of the story and part of the theme in a way about nostalgia and the good old days and were they as good as you thought they were, and style and being in love with a certain area in London. It's a really cool movie. Very surprised by what it turned out to be and how it was handled and how funny it was. It didn't feel like a complete departure for Edgar Wright, because I think if you watch the trailers, you're going to be like, oh, this is a serious movie. But there's plenty of kind of gags and jokes in it, and kind of almost cutesiness in it, while at the same time having this very British approach to that kind of story, almost like a Amicus film in a way, almost like the Amicus Tales from the Crypt adaptations. There's a certain DNA of that working its way in, and it's just a really fun, great movie. Antlers I enjoyed. We're not going to so much talk about that because, again, I've got like a dozen movies I want to talk about. Not a press screening, and a movie that's already kind of had its theatrical window and is already available to rent on like Vudu and iTunes and stuff like that. So you can go check this out right now if you don't want to go to a theater. TITANE, or TITANE if you're filthy American like I am. TITANE, the new Julia Ducournau picture. She directed Raw, which I've talked about Raw when it came out, when it was in the theaters. I love that movie. I was really looking forward to this. Not only looking forward to it just because it was another her movie, but then it went on and it won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. Unbelievable movie. Probably going to be my favorite movie of the year. It's not particularly Halloween-y or particularly spooky, but it does have some real grisly stuff that happens in it. It's almost in some weird way a kind of sweet, nice movie as it goes, and as you're kind of through the looking glass watching this depraved, insane movie that really feels like it could do anything to any of its characters at any moment, and kind of does. But I love that movie. That is a great movie. The less you know about it, the better. There's a woman dancing on a car in the trailer. It gets more intimate than that. You will enjoy this picture if you liked Raw, if you enjoy movies that demand a tiny bit more from their audience, but also are bending over backwards to entertain. She's so far 2 for 2. I'm locked in. I will see whatever this director does. So that's the stuff I saw in a theater that I really enjoyed. Before I talk about like this fat stack of discs I went through and I want to recommend, I was invited by the director Jill Gevargizian, who directed the wonderful picture The Stylist, who's become someone I know on the internet and become someone who I'm actually working with on a script that I co-wrote. But she's fantastic. Great movie. This is a kind of a bonus recommendation. The Stylist, Arrow put it out. Really good. If you like things like Lucky McKee's May, you will really, really like this picture. Really great. But she had invited me to, very kindly, she's involved with the Knoxville Horror Filmfest, and they needed judges to judge both the features and the shorts block. And I went for the gusto. She asked me which one I wanted to do. And I said, you know what? Put me in the features. Six motion pictures overall. They sent us screening links, and it was up to us to over like a week or two watch all 6 films, kind of rank our favorites, and then have a kind of jury deliberation discussion over Zoom with the other judges. Marissa Mirabel, who works for Slash Film, and she's done stuff for Fangoria. Great journalist. Axel Carolyn, who is a wonderful director. She's done episodes of The Haunting of Bly Manor and American Horror Story, and her feature The Manor is just up on Amazon. It's got Barbara Hershey in it. So it was all 4 of us kind of in the jury room and talking about these movies and what we liked about them, what we didn't like about them, and what we wanted to award as a panel. The awards are listed online. I don't know if they 100% went up yet. I don't want to say what won and what won what and what we awarded what, but I will talk about some of the movies that I really liked from that experience. So I got to see all these a little bit early. They're all doing their festival runs right now. I'm not quite sure if you can rent them or see them, but keep an eye out. There are actually 2 animated films in competition. So of the 6 films, 2 of them were animated, but they were very different kinds of animation. Watched The Spine of Night, which is a rotoscoped animated film. So live actors who are then kind of digitally painted over to give this kind of effect of halfway between live action and animation. Most famously, or not maybe not most famously, but in this genre, most famously used on the Frank Frazetta, Ralph Bakshi movie Fire and Ice, which this movie kind of takes a lot of inspiration from. It's the best way to describe it is like if the movie Heavy Metal were also someone's really, really good and really elaborate D&D campaign. That's what The Spine of Night is. It's this kind of multiple stories that all kind of link together that show this one bad guy basically taking over this fantasy world through different ages. Really, really smartly written, I thought, and the animation's cool. The voice actors you'll recognize a bunch of them. And then very, very different from that was Phil Tippett's Mad God, which is a movie you might have heard about. that he's been working on this for 30 years. Phil Tippett, kind of one of the masters of stop motion animation and special effects stop motion animation. RoboCop, Star Wars, Jurassic Park, everything you love, Phil Tippett has had a hand in the stop motion and the effects in it. But this was kind of a passion project that he had started years and years and years ago. Did little bits of it, and then it kind of fallen into like, oh, maybe I'm not going to pursue it, maybe I'm not going to finish it. And I think the lore of this movie is that people who worked for him in some way at Phil Tippett Studios were like, no, you really got to finish this. And they just recently kind of did a Kickstarter and finished this feature-length movie that is, it's called experimental, but it does kind of have a narrative. It is just unbelievable to behold. If you get a chance to see Mad God, see it in a theater, if it's playing anywhere near you. Because I had to watch it as part of this film festival, I was kind of bummed. I was like, I'm bummed I don't get to see this in a theater for the first time, that I'm watching this with my laptop screener hooked up to the TV to try to make it as good and as big as possible. Really, really bizarre, in some ways nightmarish movie. The plot's very minimal. It's just we follow this kind of futuristic soldier that's been dropped into this nightmare world, and he's got some kind of mission. We don't really know what it is, and he's just moving through these horrific sequences that are all just the most beautiful stop motion animation that's done in like the ugliest, grossest way. Really, really cool movie. It's gonna become kind of like a midnight movie, I'm sure, because people are gonna keep watching this and rewatching this. It's like a Alejandro Jodorowsky movie mixed with like a Siobhan Schwankmeyer animated movie. That's kind of the tone of this thing. Meets Pink Floyd's The Wall, the Alan Parker movie. It's really great and really cool. And then very different from those, we had some of my favorite of the live action pictures. Hellbender was incredible. It's made by this family. They're actually a family. They're the Addams family. Toby Poser, John Adams, and their daughter Zelda Adams all share directing credit on this film, and Toby Posner and Zelda Adams star in the movie. So it's a real, almost like handmade, seemingly very small crew, very tight-knit crew that's their family. So it's an interesting dynamic, because Toby Posner and Zelda Adams playing mother and daughter, even though they're mother and daughter in real life, and it's about coming to terms with a kind of like, it's like a coming-of-age movie, but the kid realizing that she has magic powers that are like incredibly destructive magic powers, and what that means, and whether or not she gets to use them, whether or not she should indulge them. It's a really peculiar, interesting kind of movie. I guess that the Addams Family has made other features, and I just haven't seen them, but I'm going to go back and watch them now because I really, really like this one. The other one that I thought that I liked best was The Beta Test, a Hollywood satire, kind of a rip from the headlines Hollywood satire with this. It's very twisty and has a lot of different subplots going, but it's quite funny. It's written and stars and co-directed by Jim Cummings, who you've probably seen in a lot of things. He's even in Halloween Kills that we're going to talk about a little later. He plays a Hollywood agent who gets this invitation for like a no-frills encounter that he goes to a hotel room and does, and then his life starts falling apart with this like paranoia and weirdness. But while all that kind of like very funny, very weird satire is going on, there's like, it's interspersed and it opens up with like an incredibly dark and incredibly like violent opening. So you're really off balance this whole movie. I really liked it. I thought it was really weird and funny and also horrifying. Good movie whenever that comes out. But yeah, these were all good. It was a fun experience. So thank you to Jill for inviting me to sit in on this jury. It was a lot of fun. All right, how long has it been? It's been very long. Okay. Let's speed this up. Let's go into lightning round for the discs that I'm going to talk about. First, let's talk about Cannibal Man. This is a movie I didn't know a whole lot about. I think it was on the Video Nasties list. What a goal in life to finish and see all the films that have been on the Video Nasties list, and I'm knocking another one off here. This is released by Severin Films, who's really outdone themselves and upgraded the way these slipcovers look, so good job, Severin. This is a Spanish film directed by a director named Eloy de la Iglesia, who they recently released a bunch of his other films that I'm excited to get to after watching this one. With that cover and that poster, and knowing that it was on the Video Nasties list, and knowing that Severin releases some really wacky, disturbing, gory movies, Cannibal Man's actually incredibly restrained. It feels like almost an older style thriller about a person kind of descending into madness. Follow this guy. He lives in this like kind of little shack that's in the shadow of these new high-rise apartments. So he has an admirer that watches him from the high-rise apartments, and he has a girlfriend who's much younger than him, and we see his kind of schlubby life. And by happenstance, in the very beginning of the movie, he's out with his girlfriend, and he kind of commits a murder, kind of commits like justifiable manslaughter maybe, but this awakens something in him, and then the bodies start piling up. But I really liked Cannibal Man. It's also known as the Week of the Killer, which is a much more apt title because you start in it's like lunes, miércoles, viernes, like it does the days, and it's separated by the days of the week, and it takes place over a week's time. Really, really good. He works at a slaughterhouse. This is a kind of disturbing footage of like a real slaughterhouse. Good-looking movie, good-looking disc from Severin Films. If you want something a little bit more downbeat, check out Cannibal Man. If you don't want something more downbeat and you want something a little bit more fun, a movie I really loved as a kid but hadn't rewatched kind of since maybe the very early days of DVD. This was maybe like one of the first. I think there was an Anchor Bay DVD of this. Hell Night, starring Linda Blair. It's an early 80s slasher that takes more inspiration from kind of old dark house movies than it does slashers, so you kind of get the best of both worlds. It is a college's Hell Night, as it says in the title. Linda Blair and all her friends who are pledging for these fraternities and sororities are dressed up in costumes. One guy's like Robin Hood and stuff like that, so it's got this kind of almost costumed old dark house feeling to it, and they're locked in this supposedly haunted house that the frat guys have rigged up with all different things to scare them and stuff like that. And then the real killing starts. Fantastic movie with fantastic atmosphere. The one thing I'll say about this Shout Factory disc is supposedly the negatives and the interpositive and all the good stuff that you could take a film from are lost for this movie. So they just have a print, and they spliced in even more extra footage that's standard definition while you're watching it. It's not the greatest disc in the world, but it is the one that we have. It is what you can get, and supposedly all the elements for this are lost, but good movie. Another real surprise, a movie I had no idea what it was other than I got it during one of Scorpion or Ronin Flix's sales, and it had Jeffrey Lewis in it and Linda Haynes, and I was like, let's go for it. Let's check out what Human Experiments is, which kind of, from the cover, kind of looks like a woman in prison picture, which it is and it isn't. It's about a singer-songwriter. She's on the road. She's playing like little crappy dive bars, and she chances into this like family murder that she somehow gets blamed for. It's a very evocative, very crazy opening, and then she ends up at a prison where the warden and the like lead doctor are in cahoots to try to like fix these women who are in this prison and make them upstanding members of society, but it's just through like brainwashing and all these different like tricks. It's got a really interesting tone to it. It's got a really kind of creep house, a lot of different kinds of scares and creepy things, and like lots of bugs and gross stuff and weird mind tricks that the warden and the doctor are playing, or maybe not playing, on our protagonist. Really, really good late 70s kind of drive-in programmer type movie that I'd never really heard of, never knew about until sitting down with it, but I really, really enjoyed it. And then last on the disc front, I'm probably the only person in the world when I heard that Scream Factory was double dipping on the Halloween movies, which I've already got like the big box set that they did a few years ago with Anchor Bay that has all the movies in it. And I was like, you know what? If they're doing 4K Ultra HD discs, let me get a couple of them. And I'm probably the only person in the world that bought 4 and 5 were the ones that I bought when they did the first. They did 1 through 5. I really like 4. I really like that it's the most Halloween-y in some ways feeling of them all. It has the best kind of autumn Midwest vibes. And 5 is just something about 5 I really like. Tina is a fun quasi-final girl who's not really a final girl. Pleasance is like playing it to the hilt in both of these. Yeah, maybe 6 doesn't end the Cult of Thorn storyline on the biggest bang, but these are good, interesting movies. Especially like 4, and they look incredible. These transfers look awesome. To have these in 4K is like, wow. I almost want to go back and get the first 3. If you're a fan of the franchise, these discs, you should pick them up, and you probably already have if you're hearing me talk about them. That was it. We did it. We talked about a lot of movies. So this week's book recommendation, very special book recommendation, as you know, to re-release my own stuff, to re-release books like The Summer Job and Video Night and Zero Lives Remaining. When those rights came back to me from other publishers, I set up the Black T-Shirt Books label. Some of my friends have put books out with it too. Scott Cole and Matt Serafini and Patrick Lacey, and also our friend Aaron Dries, the absolute king of Australian downbeat, make you think, make you feel horror. Aaron Dries has a new book out with us called Dirty Heads. It is a quick little novella that's really packed with emotion and packed with beautiful writing. It is a coming-of-age story, kind of cosmic horror, kind of sad horror, like Aaron does incredibly well. Set in Australia, Aaron's Australian, in the mid-1990s, and then goes up to Y2K, but the story is kind of told out of order. It's fantastic. It is stellar. It's some of the best writing he's ever done, and he's one of the best writers I know. Please buy this book. It is called Dirty Heads. I forget what the full title of it is. It's something Dirty Heads, a novel of coming-of-age cosmic horror. I think that might be it. That's pretty good. If it's not, it should be. But he just put this out. It is on paperback and ebook. Usually I read ebooks. Usually I say, oh, go for the ebook. It's cheaper. You'll have it beamed right to your Kindle. With this book, I really would recommend getting the paperback. Our buddy Scott Cole laid it out and did all the design for it and stuff like that. And he did an incredible job. There's like different fonts and different things that happen in different, it's a spoiler to say, but like there's different characters that speak in different ways that is really attractively laid out and kind of thematically laid out on the page in the paperback. So if you can spring for it and you're at all a paperback reader, go buy the paperback. I'll put the links down in the description. Great book. Kind of will be the perfect thing to read after Halloween, after you've had all this fun and you've watched nothing but goofy horror movies and you're enjoying the season and your pumpkin spice latte, and as you move into the dead of winter and you want to get real sad and you want to feel things really big, check out Dirty Heads. It's great. Aaron is such an incredible writer. As I said before with the Black T-Shirt Books releases, I'll let my friends use the label and we talk about who's going to release books and stuff like that, and we went all in on ISBNs together, but I don't make a dime from it. I'm not trying to sell you books that I'm going to profit off of. I'm not the publisher. It's just, I started it, and my friends all use it when we have books that we want to put out. I won't make a dime on it. Aaron will make the dimes, and go buy it, go support him. He's incredible. If you've made it all the way through this video, please hit that subscribe button. If you want to go get spooky books because you're feeling in the mood because it's Halloween and this video has made you get in the mood, please check out mine if you haven't yet. I'll put them down in the description. You know, it would be a great trick or treat. All treat, no trick for me. Leave a review. Leave a review on one of my books. If you've read Clown of the Cornfield, go leave a review on Amazon. Go leave a review on Barnes & Noble or on Goodreads. It would really help me out. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.